The words I am are the most powerful words you will ever speak, for whatever follows them becomes the foundation upon which your world is built. Every time you declare I am, you are not simply describing yourself, you are creating yourself. You are setting in motion the unseen forces that shape your outer reality to reflect the truth of your inner assumption. The universe does not respond to what you want. It responds to who you believe yourself to be. If you say, I am poor, life will faithfully reflect lack in every corner of your experience. If you say, I am abundant, opportunities will begin to gather themselves in ways you cannot yet see. The law is impartial. It does not choose good or bad, rich or poor, happy or sad. It only reflects your self-concept, your inner definition of being. When you say, I am, you are invoking the divine power within you, the creative consciousness that is one with all that exists. Every identity you assume consciously or unconsciously calls this power into expression. The outer world is only the mirror, the shadow of your inner declarations. If you live identifying yourself with fear, with doubt, with limitation, you will find those same qualities painted across the canvas of your life. But when you dare to claim, I am confident, I am worthy, I am successful, you awaken that same energy within you and life rearranges itself to prove your words true. The I am within you is not your personality, it is your awareness of being, your eternal self that was never born and will never die. It is the creative spirit clothed in flesh, dreaming its way through time, shaping experiences according to its own belief of self. To change your life, you must change the words that follow I am. You must rise from the tomb of your old self-concept, shedding every label that binds you to limitation. When you begin to see yourself differently, the world must follow. You cannot be something new while holding to the old idea of who you are. The secret lies in assuming the feeling of the wish-fulfilled, feeling yourself to be what you desire to be. The moment you accept it inwardly, even before any evidence appears, you have set the creative power in motion. The unseen becomes seen, the invisible becomes visible, and what once seemed distant begins to draw itself to you like a magnet. The words I am are not mere affirmations, they are spiritual decrees. They summon the essence of being into form. When you say I am healthy, even when the body is sick, you are aligning with the truth of wholeness that exists beyond appearances. The body must eventually conform to that truth, for it is subject to the consciousness that governs it. When you say I am loved, even in the face of loneliness, you are calling forth the experience of love into your world. The outer world cannot resist the vibration of your inner conviction, it must answer in kind. The great secret is to persist in your inner claim, regardless of outer contradiction, to hold your inner state as real until it crystallizes into form. You are never waiting for your circumstances to change. Your circumstances are waiting for you to change your definition of self. You cannot live a rich life while identifying yourself as poor. You cannot experience freedom while believing you are trapped. Every transformation begins within the realm of imagination, within the silent conversations you have with yourself. The moment you redefine yourself, the script of your life begins to change. It is as if you have stepped into a new role on the stage of existence, and all the supporting characters, events, and situations rearrange themselves to fit your new identity. When you say, I am, feel the truth of it. Feel the power of those words vibrating in your being. They are not a wish or a hope. They are a statement of divine authorship. You are declaring what is real for you, and reality will always align with your conviction. If you say, I am blessed, and feel the joy of it as though it were already true, blessings will find their way to you, drawn by the law of resonance. If you say, I am at peace, and dwell in that state, even chaos will bow before your calm. The I am is the master key. It unlocks every door you dare to believe is yours. Nothing outside of you has power over your life unless you give it authority through your identification. The moment you withdraw your I am from fear, from failure, from lack, those conditions lose their reality in your world. The mind of man is a workshop of creation, and the words I am are the tools that mold the raw substance of life. You are never the victim of circumstances, you are the author of them. Every experience is a reflection of the I am you have claimed. Change the claim, and the reflection must change. Each time you say I am, pause and ask yourself, what am I declaring into being? If you have been saying I am tired, I am unlucky, I am not enough, understand that those words are not harmless, they are seeds. and they bear fruit in their season. Replace them consciously. Speak only that which you wish to experience. Say, I am strong. I am favored. I am chosen. I am becoming all I am meant to be. These statements are not lies, they are spiritual truths waiting to be realized. You are not pretending, you are proclaiming. The outer world catches up to the inner conviction, never the other way around. You are the living expression of I am. It is the essence of your being, the creative center from which your life unfolds. Every moment you have the power to redefine yourself. You can rise from despair to joy, from poverty to abundance, from confusion to clarity, simply by changing your inner conversation. Begin to guard your I am statements as sacred. Speak only what uplifts, what empowers, what aligns with the highest vision of yourself. The more faithfully you affirm your divine identity, the faster the shadows of limitation dissolve before the light of your awareness. Remember, your world is a mirror, reflecting back to you the image you hold of yourself. The people you meet, the opportunities you attract, the challenges you face, all are drawn from the pattern of your self-concept. If you call yourself blessed, life will bless you. If you call yourself unworthy, life will agree. You are always creating, whether consciously or unconsciously, through the use of I am. The power lies not in the words alone, but in the feeling behind them, the deep, inner knowing that declares, this is who I am. That feeling is the bridge between imagination and manifestation, between the unseen and the seen. To master your world, you must master your inner identity. Everything begins and ends with how you define yourself. If you would change your world, begin by changing the words you whisper within. Stand tall in the silence of your own being and say with conviction, I am all that I desire to be. Speak it until it becomes your natural awareness, until the world itself echoes your declaration in visible form. Then you will know that you are not merely a part of creation, you are creation itself, expressing through the sacred words, I am. I am is not a phrase to be spoken lightly. It is the creative power of life itself speaking through you. When you utter those words, you are not merely identifying yourself with a name, a condition, or a circumstance, you are invoking the very essence of being. It is the name of existence, the spark of consciousness that animates all creation. The power of I am lies in its simplicity and truth. It is the recognition that you are, and that this awareness of being is the source of everything that follows. Before there was light, before there was form, there was the awareness, I am. Every creation, every expression, every manifestation in the universe springs forth from that silent declaration of existence. When you say I am, you are standing in the center of divine power because you are acknowledging the presence of life within you. This is not the voice of the body, nor of the mind. It is the eternal self speaking, the invisible life force that gives breath to your form and meaning to your existence. Every word you attach to I am is an instruction to this creative power, directing it to assume shape and form in your experience. If you declare, I am strong, strength begins to awaken within you. If you say, I am weak, weakness manifests itself in your world. The creative energy does not judge, it simply fulfills the decree that issues from your inner awareness. It accepts every statement you make about yourself as truth and molds your life accordingly. Most people use the power of I am unconsciously. They speak words of limitation, failure, and lack without realizing that they are decreeing their own conditions. They say, I am tired, I am broke, I am unlucky, and wonder why life seems to conspire against them. The truth is, life is not against them, it is only obeying their commands. The universe is perfectly impartial, reflecting back the image you hold of yourself in your own consciousness. Your outer world is the mirror of your inner identity, and that identity is constantly being shaped by the words that follow I am. If you want to know what you truly believe about yourself, look at your life, it will tell you everything. When you begin to understand that I am is the name of God, expressing through you, your words will take on new meaning. You will no longer speak carelessly about yourself or your life, because you will realize that every utterance is a creative act. You will begin to claim only those qualities that uplift, empower, and align you with the highest vision of who you are meant to be. You will speak as a creator, not as a victim. You will say, I am guided, I am provided for, I am whole, I am loved, and the creative law within you will begin to organize circumstances, people, and events to reflect those truths. This is not mere positive thinking, it is spiritual law. Whatever you affirm with conviction and emotion through I am becomes embodied in your world. The mind is the workshop where these creations take shape. Thought is the mold. Feeling is the substance that fills the mold. When you declare, I am, you set the mold. And when you feel it as true, you give it life. The unseen energy of consciousness begins to clothe itself in form according to the pattern you have provided. You may not see immediate evidence, but the process has already begun. Like a seed planted in the soil, your declaration will germinate in the unseen until it breaks forth into visible manifestation. The wise, therefore, guard their words, for they know that I am is not idle speech, it is divine decree. To grasp the magnitude of this truth is to awaken to your own creative authority. You were never meant to be a passive observer of life, subject to the winds of chance and circumstance. You are the author of your story, and the pen in your hand is the power of I am. Every identity you assume, every belief you accept, every statement you affirm through these two words becomes a line in the script of your existence. You cannot escape the consequences of your own self-definition, for consciousness is cause and experience is effect. To change the effect, you must change the cause. You must change the I am that you claim to be. The beauty of this truth is that it gives you back your freedom. You no longer need to wait for the world to change before you can feel different. You can begin right now to speak differently about yourself, to choose consciously the words that define your being. If you have been saying, I am afraid, replace it with I am fearless. If you have been saying, I am unworthy, replace it with I am deserving of all good. Do not concern yourself with whether the outer world immediately agrees with your new declaration. The outer world is always a delayed reflection. It will catch up once your inner conviction is established. Speak the new identity until it becomes natural, until the feeling of it settles into your subconscious, and the world will have no choice but to conform. The power of I am is self-evident when you observe how life responds to your assumptions. People who believe they are lucky seem to attract opportunities effortlessly, while those who believe they are cursed find themselves constantly surrounded by misfortune. The difference is not in fate, but in faith, the inner conviction of I am favored versus I am forgotten. Every emotion, every experience, every relationship begins with the identity you hold. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are conscious of being. This is why the wise teacher said, let the weak say, I am strong. It is not hypocrisy, it is creation. You call those things that are not yet seen as though they were, and in doing so, you bring them into being. In the silence of your mind, you are always saying, I am. Even without words, you carry a constant sense of identity, a feeling of who you are. That feeling is your prayer, and it is always being answered. If deep within you there dwells a belief that says, I am not enough, life will faithfully echo that belief in your experiences. But if you cultivate within yourself the quiet assurance, I am enough, I am complete, I am capable, that inner truth will radiate outward and shape a world that matches its tone. The outer world is nothing more than the shadow cast by your inner self-concept. When you change the image within, the shadow must change as well. This power does not belong to a select few, it is the inheritance of every human being. You were born with it, though most live unaware of its presence. The moment you awaken to it, your life begins to transform. You realize that you are not at the mercy of events, but that events are the outpicturing of your own consciousness. You begin to live deliberately, speaking only what you wish to experience, claiming only what you desire to become. Every I am becomes an act of worship, a recognition of the divine power within you that says, be still and know that I am. When you truly feel the meaning of I am, you enter into the awareness that everything you seek already exists within your own consciousness. You no longer chase after things or people to make you whole. You claim your wholeness within, and life mirrors it back to you. You begin to live from the inside out, no longer moved by appearances but by inner conviction. The more you affirm your true identity, the more effortlessly life unfolds. You find peace in the realization that you and the creative power are one, that your every word and thought carries the potential to shape worlds. And in that understanding, you begin to speak with purpose, to live with awareness, and to create with love, knowing that every time you say I am, The universe listens and obeys. Your self-concept is the silent architect of your life, for it is not the circumstances themselves that shape your experience, but the meaning you assign to them and the identity you claim as your own. Every thought, every belief, every assumption you hold about who you are radiates outward, drawing into your life the experiences that correspond to that inner truth. The world you see is not an arbitrary stage upon which events unfold. It is a mirror, reflecting back to you the image of yourself that exists in your consciousness. If you believe yourself to be small, limited, or unworthy, the outer world will dutifully reflect those assumptions, confirming your sense of inadequacy. If you define yourself as powerful, capable, and deserving, life will rise to meet that identity, revealing doors, opportunities, and relationships that honor your inner declaration. People often fail to understand this principle because they look for change in the world, hoping that altered circumstances will make them feel different about themselves. They believe that if they were richer, more respected, healthier, or surrounded by love, they would finally be complete. Yet the truth is entirely reversed. It is not the world that must change for you to feel empowered. It is your self-concept that must evolve, and then the world inevitably bends to match it. When you redefine yourself internally, your outer life cannot help but reflect that new reality. You are not shaped by events. Events are shaped by the state of consciousness you inhabit. The key to transformation lies in understanding that your self-definition is the cause, and all experiences are its effects. Most individuals live unconsciously under the authority of others' definitions of them. Society, family, education, and peer influences teach them who they are supposed to be, and in obeying these external judgments, they inadvertently build their own limitations. They say to themselves, "I am this way because of what others expect," or "I cannot change because this is just who I am." But these statements are false claims. The true self is not defined by outside circumstances. It is defined by the inner awareness of being. When you take control of your own definition, you reclaim the creative power that has always belonged to you. You realize that no one else has the authority to shape your reality except you, for the outer world is merely a reflection of the inner life. Every belief you hold about yourself, whether conscious or unconscious, becomes a magnet, attracting experiences that validate it. If you believe, "I am unlucky," you will constantly encounter events that reinforce this identity, no matter how capable or fortunate you might objectively be. If you believe, "I am blessed," even amidst difficulties, you will find ways to perceive fortune, guidance, and opportunity. The universe responds to your assumed identity, not to your desires or intentions. It does not matter what you want. What matters is who you imagine yourself to be. Your imagination is the workshop in which your future is fashioned. When you vividly assume an identity in your mind and inhabit it fully, the world has no choice but to conform to that inner image. The subtlety of this principle lies in the fact that the outer world always confirms your self-concept. Life is impartial and mirrors back your beliefs without judgment or preference. If you carry the belief that you are unloved, ignored, or unsuccessful, you will experience interactions and circumstances that reinforce that notion. Conversely, if you carry the belief that you are loved, supported, and destined for success, the universe will deliver people, opportunities, and events that align with that identity. This is why so many struggle to attain happiness through external means alone. No amount of wealth, recognition, or achievement can create lasting fulfillment if it is not rooted in an inner definition that accepts and deserves it. The foundation of all change begins with the recognition that you are the authority over your own self-image. Your self-concept is not limited to traits or abilities. It also includes the story you tell yourself about your life. When you look back over your experiences, the narrative you hold about who you are and what you deserve colors every memory, shaping not only the past but also the present and future. People often cling to past failures or setbacks, believing that these define them permanently. Yet past experiences have power only if you give them power. They are reflections, not determiners of who you are. By consciously revising your inner story, by imagining the person you wish to be and living as if that identity were already true, you transform the lens through which the universe presents itself. The world will then realign itself to match the identity you claim, as if it had been waiting for your permission to reveal a new reality. The law of self-definition is neutral. It does not distinguish between positive or negative, good or bad. It simply reflects the identity you assume. This means that you can consciously take charge and direct the outcomes of your life. By choosing who you are in consciousness, you create the experiences that correspond to that choice. If you claim, "I am confident," and act from that inner certainty, people respond to you with respect and trust. If you claim, "I am creative," opportunities for expression, invention, and innovation begin to present themselves. The universe is not selective. It mirrors the essence of the self you hold. To transform your life, you must first transform the assumptions you hold about yourself. Most transformation fails because it focuses on external change rather than internal definition. People attempt to change their job, their relationships, their finances, their appearance, hoping that these adjustments will alter how they feel. But unless the self-concept is transformed first, the outer changes are temporary or insufficient. Lasting transformation occurs when you embody a new identity internally. When you act, think, and feel as the person you wish to be, the world has no choice but to follow. Circumstances bend, opportunities present themselves, and people respond in ways that confirm your internal assumption. The external is powerless to contradict the inner reality when the self-concept is fully assumed. This principle is not abstract. It is practical and observable in everyday life. Notice how confident people attract confidence in others, how creative people find inspiration and resources to bring ideas to life, how generous people experience generosity returned to them. Each is living proof that the world reflects the inner self. Conversely, those who believe themselves unlucky, unworthy, or incapable struggle to break free from circumstances, no matter how hard they try. The difference is always internal, never external. Life is simply obeying the definition you have given yourself. To exercise this power consciously, begin by observing your inner statements and assumptions. Ask yourself, who am I really claiming to be? Examine your thoughts, your feelings, your habitual self-talk, and notice the patterns that have shaped your life. Once you see the unconscious beliefs, you can deliberately revise them. Imagine the life you wish to lead and assume the identity that naturally inhabits that life. Live in the state of that assumed self, speak as that self speaks, think as that self thinks, and feel as that self feels. The universe, being a perfect mirror, will present circumstances and people that confirm this new identity. You are not waiting for proof, you are creating the proof. The world does not dictate your identity, it merely echoes it. Your self-concept is the unseen cause, and your life is the visible effect. Every success, every failure, every relationship, every challenge can be traced back to the inner definition you have assumed. Change the inner definition, and the outer world is forced to follow. The power to shape your destiny lies not in external measures, but in the simple, profound understanding that who you are defines what you experience. You are the author, the actor, and the observer all at once, and the law of self-concept is the script that brings your imagination into tangible form. The moment you fully understand this, you recognize that limitation is self-imposed. No obstacle in the outer world has the power to constrain you unless you consent to that limitation within. Every boundary, every difficulty, every failure can be overcome when you redefine who you are and assume the state of being that corresponds to the life you desire. Your world, in essence, is a reflection of the inner declaration. And when that declaration is transformed, the reflection must change. Your consciousness is the ultimate source, the fountain from which all experiences flow, and your self-concept is the measure by which the universe organizes itself around you. To transform your life, you must first transform your inner definition, for the self you carry in consciousness is the blueprint for everything you experience. Most people look outward for change, hoping that circumstances, people, or events will shift in order to improve their lives. They believe that if they were in a better job, had more money, or were in healthier relationships, they would feel better about themselves. Yet this approach is always backwards. True change begins from within. The outer world is a reflection, an echo, a faithful mirror of the inner state of being. If you persist in identifying with fear, limitation, or inadequacy, no amount of external adjustment can produce lasting transformation. Change begins the moment you redefine yourself in consciousness, the moment you see yourself as the person you wish to be and inhabit that identity fully. Redefining your inner self requires awareness, because most people live their lives unconsciously, repeating the assumptions and identities they were taught to accept. These assumptions, often formed in childhood, shape every thought, every decision, and every interaction. They dictate what you believe is possible for you, what you deserve, and how others will respond to you. Until these unconscious beliefs are brought to light, they continue to govern your experience. Transformation begins with the recognition that these old self-concepts are not the truth, they are merely habits of thought. By consciously assuming a new identity, one aligned with your highest potential, you awaken the creative power within to begin shaping reality in accordance with that new definition. The outer world will always conform to the inner state. If you continue to see yourself as limited, fearful, or unworthy, the world will offer experiences that reinforce those beliefs. But when you imagine yourself as confident, capable, and worthy, your environment begins to shift to reflect this new state of being. This does not happen by chance, it happens because consciousness is the cause and life is the effect. You must live as the person you wish to be, even before any tangible evidence appears. This is the secret of true transformation. Assume the feeling of your desired state as real, and the world must rearrange itself to accommodate it. Most attempts at change fail because they rely solely on action without inner transformation. People set goals, make plans, and take steps to improve their lives. Yet if the underlying self-concept remains unchanged, these efforts are often frustrated. For example, a person may attempt to become successful or wealthy while still identifying as incapable or undeserving. The outer efforts, no matter how diligent, clash with the inner identity, and failure becomes inevitable. Transformation is not in the actions themselves, but in the consciousness from which those actions arise. When the inner self is transformed, every action naturally aligns with that new identity, and results manifest effortlessly. The process of redefining yourself begins in imagination. The mind is the workshop of creation, and the imagination is the tool through which new identities are formed. By vividly imagining yourself as the person you desire to be, and by dwelling in that imagined state with feeling, you impress the subconscious mind with a new template of reality. The subconscious cannot distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined with conviction. It accepts your assumptions as fact and begins to organize life to conform to them. This is why sustained mental practice, visualization, and inner affirmation are far more powerful than external effort alone. The life you imagine with belief is the life you are preparing to inhabit. Feeling is the secret element in this process. Merely thinking about the person you wish to become is not enough, you must feel it as real. Feeling is the bridge between imagination and manifestation. When you feel yourself as already embodying your desired identity, you create a vibrational reality that the universe cannot resist. The law of consciousness responds not to words alone, but to the inner conviction that accompanies them. When you inhabit the state of the fulfilled self in feeling, life must yield to that state. The outer world, always reflecting the inner, cannot help but align itself with the new definition you have assumed. Consistency in this inner assumption is vital. Old habits of thought will attempt to assert themselves, and the world will present contradictions to test your persistence. It is natural for the subconscious mind to resist change, because it has been conditioned to maintain the familiar self-image. You must hold steadfastly to the new definition, returning again and again to the assumed state until it becomes your dominant consciousness. Each time you persist, the subconscious absorbs the new identity more fully, and the outer world shifts with increasing speed and coherence. Transformation is therefore a matter of disciplined inner practice, unwavering faith, and repeated assumption of the desired state. Redefining yourself also involves releasing attachment to old labels and limitations. Many people cling to identities that no longer serve them because they feel familiar or because they have defined themselves through past experiences. They say, "I am just this way," or "I have always been that," allowing history to dictate their present. Yet who you have been does not determine who you must be. You have the power to step into a new self-definition at any moment. By letting go of the past and fully embracing the identity you choose to assume, you create space for life to mirror your new reality. The outer world cannot contradict the fully realized inner state, and old limitations begin to dissolve. The outer world will always respond to the state you inhabit, not to your explanations or justifications. People may not immediately notice the change in your inner identity, and circumstances may initially seem contrary. Yet persistence in your assumed state forces the world to adjust. Opportunities will present themselves, relationships will shift, and your environment will reflect the qualities of the person you now claim to be. Transformation is therefore both inner and outer. It begins invisibly within, and the visible world follows naturally. You are the cause, life is the effect, and the law is impartial. To maintain this new inner definition, you must observe and correct the thoughts that arise unconsciously. Old patterns will continue to surface, and the world may tempt you to revert to the old self-concept. Each time this occurs, return to the chosen identity and act, think, and feel from that new state. Transformation is not a single act, but a process of ongoing inner alignment. The more faithfully you embody your chosen self-definition, the more effortlessly life conforms to it. Your new identity becomes second nature, and the world has no choice but to reflect the completeness, confidence, and power you now carry within. The profound truth is that your self-definition determines your reality in every realm of life. Success, health, abundance, relationships, and peace all follow the identity you assume in consciousness. When you live as the person you desire to be, even in the absence of outward evidence, you set in motion the creative forces that bring that state into manifestation. This is not fantasy. It is law. The outer world cannot contradict the inner state, and it must conform to the dominant consciousness you hold. Transformation is therefore not about efforting to change the world. It is about assuming the state of the fulfilled self and allowing life to align naturally with that assumption. Your life is a reflection of who you believe yourself to be, and redefining yourself is the path to ultimate freedom. It is the recognition that you are never at the mercy of circumstances, people, or events. You are the author of your story, the master of your reality, and the inner self you claim to be will always find expression in the outer world. The transformation begins the moment you assume responsibility for your identity, consciously choosing the state of being that aligns with your highest vision. The moment you live as the person you wish to be, the universe rearranges itself to honor that identity. Every word you speak about yourself carries immense creative power, for language is the bridge between thought and reality. When you speak "I am," followed by any description, you are issuing a decree into the unseen, planting a seed in the fertile ground of consciousness. The law is impartial. It does not differentiate between positive or negative, good or bad, favorable or unfavorable. Whatever you attach to "I am" becomes a template for your life. Therefore, the words you speak about yourself are never trivial. They are instruments of creation. People often fail to realize this, casually repeating statements like "I am tired," "I am unlucky," or "I am not enough," without understanding that these statements are commands that summon experiences to reflect those beliefs. Each utterance reinforces the identity you have unconsciously claimed, and life manifests in accordance with that assumption. To truly harness the power of "I am," you must become vigilant over the words you attach to it. Every affirmation, every description, every self-observation shapes the world you experience. If you claim "I am poor," you are not merely stating a fact. You are instructing consciousness to bring forth experiences of limitation and lack. Conversely, when you declare "I am abundant," you are summoning the conditions that align with wealth, opportunity, and prosperity. The creative law does not interpret your desires, it obeys your assumed state of being. Words preceded by "I am" are not suggestions, they are declarations of reality, and the universe responds faithfully. Most people speak about themselves unconsciously, allowing old habits, fears, and doubts to dictate their language. They repeat what they have been told about themselves, what they have observed in others, or what they have concluded from past experiences. These habitual expressions of self-concept are seeds planted long ago, now bearing fruit in their present circumstances. To change the quality of your life, you must change the content of your self-talk. You must deliberately speak only that which aligns with the life you wish to experience. The moment you consciously choose words that empower, uplift, and define you as worthy, capable, and fulfilled, you redirect the flow of life toward that reality. The power of your words is amplified when combined with feeling. To say "I am successful" without truly feeling the success is already yours is only a partial command. The universe responds not merely to intellectual declarations, but to the emotional conviction behind them. Feeling is the substance that brings the word into form. It is the energy that awakens manifestation. When you speak with feeling, when you imagine yourself as already living the state you declare, the unseen world is compelled to arrange circumstances to reflect that inner reality. The outer world is always a mirror of the inner state, and words infused with feeling are the tools that align the two. It is essential to understand that the world does not create you, you create the world through your inner declarations. Many look for validation, opportunities, or transformation in their environment, hoping that external conditions will dictate who they can be. Yet this is a reversal of natural law. The unseen self, the self that speaks through your I am statements, is the source of all conditions. People and events are drawn into your experience in response to the identity you assume. If you are claiming I am unworthy, you will meet experiences and people who reflect that belief. If you claim I am worthy, the universe organizes circumstances to confirm that worth. The creative process is always from the inside out. Reality is the echo of consciousness, not the source of it. Guarding your language also means eliminating words that negate your power. Every time you say, I cannot, I am unlucky, I am not enough, you reinforce the limitation you wish to escape. These statements are not harmless. They are commands that your subconscious mind accepts and brings into expression. Instead, choose words that convey capability, abundance, and alignment with your highest self. Speak with authority and conviction, as if the reality you declare is already tangible. When your inner conversation consistently aligns with the life you desire, your outer world becomes a faithful reflection. Repetition is the key to internalizing the new declarations. Your subconscious mind absorbs what is repeated with feeling and conviction. By consistently affirming, empowering statements about yourself, you impress the mind with a new blueprint for life. Each repetition strengthens the identity you wish to assume, gradually dissolving the old, limiting self-concept. The process is cumulative. The more consistently you declare your desired state, the more natural it becomes, until it becomes your automatic sense of being. Life then begins to align effortlessly, because the identity you hold inwardly is the seed from which all experiences grow. It is also crucial to avoid comparing your words with external evidence. The outer world may initially contradict your declarations, presenting circumstances that seem to deny your claims. Yet the outer world is merely a delayed reflection, it is not the authority. Persistence in your spoken identity, in conjunction with feeling, eventually compels the world to realign. You are not waiting for proof, you are creating the proof. This is why so many fail to see results when they abandon their statements too quickly or allow doubt to enter. The spoken word must be maintained with conviction until the outer circumstances catch up. Language is not just a tool for communication with others. It is a conversation with your own consciousness, a dialogue with the creative principle that governs life. Every time you declare, I am, the creative energy listens and organizes life in accordance with your words. If you consistently speak in terms of limitation, your life will reflect scarcity. If you consistently speak in terms of possibility, abundance, and success, your life will transform accordingly. This is the power of conscious speech, the spiritual art of declaring your reality through words. The depth of transformation through I am statements is revealed when you observe life over time. Those who habitually speak affirmations aligned with their desires experience life differently than those who do not. Opportunities appear naturally, relationships flow harmoniously, and challenges are overcome with grace. It is not luck or chance, it is the law operating through the deliberate use of words and feeling. Conscious speech shapes reality in a tangible, measurable way, because what is spoken with conviction becomes the framework for experience. You have the authority to shape your life entirely through your words. Every time you declare, I am, consider it a sacred act, a spiritual decree. Each statement is a seed of creation, destined to bear fruit in the circumstances, relationships, and events of your life. By choosing your words carefully, affirming only what you wish to experience, and imbuing them with feeling, you harness the full power of the creative principle. Nothing outside of you has the power to define you unless you consent through your words and inner assumptions. Your speech is the instrument through which you call forth the life you desire, and the universe, in its perfect impartiality, will respond faithfully to every declaration. Feeling is the invisible force that transforms imagination into reality, the silent current that carries your declarations from thought into form. Words alone, even when spoken with conviction, are incomplete without the accompanying inner sensation that they are true. To say, I am prosperous, or I am healthy, without truly feeling the reality of those statements is to speak without activating the creative power that lies within you. Feeling is the substance of being. It is the energy that bridges the gap between the unseen and the seen, between desire and manifestation. When you cultivate the feeling of already being, you impress the subconscious mind with the truth of your state, and life must align itself accordingly. The human mind responds most powerfully not to what is wished for, but to what is felt as real. If you imagine wealth, but feel lack and limitation, your imagination cannot find its way into form, because the feeling contradicts the declaration. The subconscious mind does not separate fact from fiction, it accepts whatever is impressed upon it with intensity and persistence. Therefore, the secret to manifestation is not merely thinking or speaking, but feeling yourself into the reality you desire. The more vividly and consistently you feel yourself as already being that which you wish to become, the faster and more certain the outer world will reflect it. Feeling is not passive, it is the dynamic engine of creation. Every thought and assumption you hold carries an emotional tone, and it is this tone that sets the vibrational frequency of your life. When you dwell in fear, doubt, or scarcity, you generate a vibration that attracts experiences matching that frequency. Conversely, when you dwell in confidence, joy, and abundance, you generate a vibration that draws people, opportunities, and circumstances into alignment with that inner state. Feeling is the language of the subconscious. It is the energy that informs the universe of your inner reality. Words alone may express intention, but it is feeling that compels life to conform to that intention. To cultivate the feeling of the desired state, it is necessary to immerse yourself in the experience inwardly. Imagine what it feels like to be already living the life you desire. Picture the circumstances, the relationships, the successes, and let yourself feel the joy, the confidence, and the satisfaction, as though it is already yours. Allow yourself to dwell in that state with totality, ignoring outer appearances and contradictions. The outer world is always delayed. It is merely catching up to the inner reality you have assumed. By inhabiting the feeling of fulfillment, you plant the seed that will inevitably grow into visible manifestation. Many people struggle with manifestation because they focus on the evidence of their senses rather than the conviction within. They say, I cannot feel wealthy because I am in debt, or I cannot feel loved because I am alone. Yet the law does not respond to what is present, it responds to what is felt as real. Feeling is the key that unlocks the door to creation. When you persist in feeling the reality of your desired state, you impress it upon your subconscious mind, which then orchestrates circumstances to reflect that inner truth. The unseen always precedes the seen. Nothing materializes until it has first been impressed upon the consciousness with feeling. The power of feeling lies in its totality. Half-hearted emotions, doubts, or conflicting sensations dilute the creative force. To manifest the life you desire, you must immerse yourself fully in the sensation of having already received what you seek. If your desire is confidence, feel the power of your own competence and authority as though it were already natural to you. If your desire is love, feel the warmth, intimacy, and connection as though it were fully present. If your desire is abundance, feel the security, joy, and freedom of prosperity as though it were your current experience. The universe does not differentiate between real and imagined. When the feeling is fully assumed, it simply brings the vibration into form. Persistence in feeling is essential because the mind and the world may initially resist the new state. Old habits, old beliefs, and habitual patterns attempt to reassert themselves. Life may present circumstances that seem contradictory to your inner state. Yet this is merely a test of your conviction. The outer world is not the authority, it is a reflection. The true work is maintaining the feeling of your assumed state regardless of appearances. Each time you return to the inner reality with feeling, you strengthen the new identity and weaken the old, limiting assumptions. This is the discipline of manifestation. Persist in feeling until the outer world conforms. Feeling also informs your actions in subtle and powerful ways. When you feel yourself as already being confident, capable, or prosperous, your behavior naturally aligns with that state. You make decisions, take steps, and interact with others from the energy of the identity you have assumed. This congruence between inner feeling and outer expression accelerates manifestation because the universe responds not only to your inner state but also to the actions that flow naturally from it. Feeling is therefore both the seed and the water that nurtures the growth of creation into the visible world. The importance of feeling is further emphasized in the subtle alignment between imagination and reality. Imagination alone sets the blueprint, but feeling activates it, giving it the lifeblood necessary to manifest. It is not enough to picture yourself in a certain state. You must experience the sensation of it fully, with the richness, depth, and authenticity of real experience. Feeling carries the vibrational signature of the desired state, and the law of consciousness responds to that signature. When you cultivate feeling consistently, you create a magnetic field that draws people, circumstances, and events into alignment with the life you are imagining. Even ordinary life offers proof of the power of feeling. Consider the difference between wishing for something and feeling it is already present. Those who dwell in excitement, anticipation, and certainty of their desires experience life unfolding in ways that seem miraculous. They recognize synchronicities, opportunities, and guidance that others miss because they are anchored in the vibrational reality of their assumption. Feeling transforms ordinary imagination into extraordinary reality because it communicates to the universe with the authority of absolute truth. Feeling is not a fleeting emotion, it is the sustained experience of being that creates reality. It is the internal knowledge that I already am, rather than I will be someday. This present tense feeling impresses the subconscious mind and establishes the blueprint for life. The outer world cannot resist a consciousness that is fully aligned with its assumed state. All manifestation begins in feeling, because the universe is a mirror, reflecting back to you what you internally accept as real. Without feeling, words and thoughts remain dormant. With feeling, they become active instruments of creation. The mastery of feeling requires attention and practice. Observe the sensations that accompany your thoughts and words. Notice when doubt, fear, or impatience enters, and return deliberately to the feeling of your desired state. Let it dominate your inner consciousness until it permeates every thought, every action, every perception. This is the path of deliberate creation, to live, act, and feel as if your desire is already fulfilled. The universe, always faithful to your inner state, will eventually organize life to mirror that reality. Feeling is the key that unlocks all possibilities. Without it, desire remains abstract and unmanifested. With it, imagination becomes tangible, words become decrees, and your inner state compels the world to adjust. The more deeply and consistently you feel yourself as already being, the faster and more inevitably the outer world aligns. This is why feeling is the ultimate instrument of creation, the silent, invisible power through which imagination becomes form and consciousness brings life into perfect reflection.